Good morning, my friends. How are you? So today's topic is about choosing kindness and what to do with fear, okay? And I want to start by telling you a story. So I have this friend, and she's been my friend for over 25 years. And when we were younger, she was like a reckoning force, and she took the world by storm, and she was amazing. She was, like she was a meteor, and so fast forward, several years, and probably about 5 years ago, maybe less, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I don't know, I got a call from, I think, her son and my godson, and he said, I think you should come to the hospital. My mother's had this attack or whatever, and we think she's going to die. So I rushed to the hospital that first night, and there she was, and basically what she was is all of her organs were in failure, and she had everything was going wrong. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. And so we pieced together the timeline and what had happened and whatnot, and we just kind of really just kind of centered in and focused in. Well, so the next day I go to see, and she always wore lipstick, like the lip liner filled with lipstick. Okay. And of course, you see me, whenever I put on lipstick for you guys, I look like a clown, so I'm just not a lipstick girl. So anyway, so so I went to the hospital that second day, and I couldn't go in because they were doing some procedures on her, but I could look down the hallway. And first, the first thing I noticed was her lipstick. It was very pink. She liked pink. She likes pink, although she varies it now. But anyways, so I looked down, and I see the pink lipstick, and I see her being super nice to someone, one of the ladies. And then I see in about like 2 minutes her like totally railing on someone. And I'm like, oh, she's not dying. She's got way too much fight left in the girl. So anyway, so fast forward, and here we are now. And so she's learned to live with her disability. She still has some issues, of course, and actually she needs a liver transplant. But she's going through, she just shows she needs a hip replacement. She just freaking so strong, and kind of limps along, still with a lipstick, needing a liver transplant, but still like all in, And I share this story with you because we went to lunch yesterday, and and it was nice, and we talked about things, and we shared stories, and it's funny because it just gave me perspective again about how when we look at people, we conjure up their story, and we know their story, and, for example, she has been seeing my things on Facebook, and she's like, oh my God, you've had the most amazing year. This has been spectacular. And I'm like, it's been a great year, but it's been a hard year. It's been a growth year. It's been a year of tons of transition, and so there's a lot more to the story than what you see on Facebook. And so we shared stories, and as we were there, I got an email from the National Association of Realtors that they had used one of my quotes in one of their articles. And so she's like, oh, let's go see what it is. Because she goes, what did you say? I'm like, I have no idea. Because when you talk to a reporter, like, you don't know what they're going to pick up, and you don't know what it is that they zoom in on. Like, you don't know what it is that they particularly, talk about. So I'm going to share it with you after. I tried to share it out on this live stream, but I was not able to. So I will share with you the screenshot of it. But what I said is, and again, it was 10 tips for new agents, their first year in. Like, what is it that they don't know? And what I talked about was what to do with your fear. Okay. And what I said is that, we cannot be fearless, but we can fear less, right? And we've talked about this before. So being fearless, what to do with your fears. And in my thing, and it's part of rituals, is the fear setting, where you write down what it is that your fears are. And again, I try to do this every single day, okay? Because every day I have new fears. So you write down the fears, then you write down what is the progression? Like, what is the worst progression that could happen? What is the likely progression that could happen? You know, and then when you have written it all down, then you're like, okay, so then what would I do? You know, what would be my steps to do? Like, what would I do if this worst scenario happened, right? And if this worst scenario happened and I have a plan in place for if that worst thing happens, then I'm going to be okay because I can get through all of that. You know, so I was sitting there and she just said, wow, like that is, you know, and again, she's waiting for a liver, you know, and she's waiting for tests and she's got to figure out how she's going to do things. And so we just talked about how impactful that little message was for her at this stage of her life. And, you know, again, that there are no coincidences, right? There's just coincidences. So we talked about it a little bit more. And, you know, my thing to the new agents is to just do it, right? So figure out those fears, know that you can live with those fears, the actions of the worst thing that could happen, and push yourself forward. So that was what we talked about, but it was just like a real reminder to me about stories, like making sure that we're authentic in our stories, okay? Making sure we share our stories so that the person on the other side doesn't create a story for you, okay? The second is you know, take time to listen and take time to just acknowledge and know that, you know, anything can happen at any time, and just try to be mindful of that, you know. And then of course the last part is fearless, right? Because life is scary and we're getting ready for new year and people are embarking on new things and there's a whole bunch of transitions going on. We're just in a tumultuous time, right? So how can you do the fearless? So go back to your Rituals 365. I want you to go through the fearless fear setting exercise. And I want you to make this part of your day. Okay? Do that and I'll do that. And together we can share our stories about it. How does that sound? All right. So thank you for joining. And hi, Marie. How are you? And thank you all for watching in the replay. This is Kate Lanagan MacGregor. Be bold, be awesome, be you, and fear less.